So, under our umbrella of creativity in the IB program for the middle years, we focused in on the idea of open ended questions and how to ask them accordingly to not overwhelm students. So, through this, we came down to the idea of horizontal planning. So, horizontal planning being planning with different subject teachers from the same grade. So horizontal planning can be done to include the scaffolding of open-ended questions to prevent students from feeling overwhelmed in new situations. This means to have all or most teachers in the grade level structure their questions the same. This also is to teach the students and the teacher how to manage these types of questions effectively. So, in the article, Scaffolding Questions and Responses, it acknowledges that a teacher who asks an open ended question to a class of beginner students, so students who might not be fully familiar with this concept of open ended questions, will likely be met with blank stares, confusion, or silence. Even if students understand what is being asked, they may be shy to speak or worried about making mistakes. The same article actually goes on to explain that teachers actually can make a large mistake here about after asking a question becoming uncomfortable if students don't respond very quickly or give you that blank look of not understanding. However, students who are just starting to either learn a language, so this could be right down to actually learning English, but more likely in a grade 10 class, might be learning the new terms that science can throw at them. And so it might actually take them longer than anticipated to come up with an answer, especially if they're not given time to actually think out loud with a neighbor. So teachers actually need to let that sit a little bit longer than we actually intend to. So while we're quick to respond and assist our students in these situations, if our goal is to help learners develop their ideas, it's actually better if we wait and let the student work to form a response on their own. If the student continues to have difficulty after about 10 seconds, then we can provide guidance or ask a clarifying question to help, but we still shouldn't be jumping on to give them the answer or to spoon feed them. It still should be coming from the student. So by using this questioning style cross-curricularly, so again referring back to the idea of horizontal planning, so using open-ended questions in all of the grade 10 classes, students will quickly improve their ability to think critically. Critical thinking is one of the main focuses of the standards as a whole, and students are encouraged to use it in every subject from math to English, language, arts to history. Open-ended questions are an amazing way to introduce critical thought. However, open-ended questions can be posed in a manner to go beyond critical thinking. So critical thinking would be the first level that comes out of open-ended questions. However, you can actually require that they have more than a one-worded answer, which open-ended questions usually require as is. And then by asking follow-up questions beyond that, students learn to think creatively. So they have to think a little bit on their feet and they have to be able to solve problems. They also are given, by the concept of follow-up questions, they are given the opportunity to reflect on their initial solution or initial answer. So this idea of horizontal planning for open-ended questions to promote creativity makes a very clear link back to the IB in the sense that students are thinking critically, creatively, they're having discussions, they're reflecting through follow-up questions posed by the teacher, and the open-ended questions allow them to consider their own ideas, thoughts, and feelings. It also encourages general collaborative work and promotes respect, especially when they're having a whole group discussion. So the idea that if you're talking about something controversial such as stem cells and their use or general ethics in science, you might be coming up with individual solutions to these types of problems such as stem cell use from umbilical cords, and who do the umbilical cords belong to? Do they belong to the child? So do you have to wait for the child to grow up to give permission to the mother? Or because they're generally discarded as medical waste, are they fair game? So the student has to come up with their own solution based on their thoughts and feelings, but they also need to be able to respect the thoughts of others who may have different opinions than themselves.